What's up, everyone? At the end of this video, we are going to have my 2025 Indie Wargame of the Year. The way we're going to do that is I've selected the 8 Indie Wargames that we've played on this channel. So as I'm talking through them, if you like the sound of any of them, you'll find a playlist I've made called 2025 Indie Wargames. You can go check them out there. Or you can jump in our Discord to chat about those games and see people playing them. Anyway, link in the description. The way we're going to do it is I put those 8 Indie Wargames on pieces of paper, put them in a hat. Churchy, our producer, is going to draw them out, read them out, and they're going to go head to head. I'm going to compare 2 games, pick which one I like better out of those 2, and it's going to progress to the next round. And like I said, at the end, we'll have our winner. So let's start. The way I'm going to decide which of these 2 games I like better is based purely on my metrics for what makes a good game for me. I'm going to compare, basically it's going to come down to if someone's like, hey bro, you want to play this game or this game this weekend? I'll tell you which one I'm picking and why. So Churchy, what do we got first?
We have Guards of Trader's Toll versus Test of Honor.
No way. Okay, so this isn't rigged, and Churchy might not even know this, but those are both titles by Grey for Now Games. We're big fans of Graham Davey and his Grey for Now Games titles, which are these 2, and 0200 Hours, which we have on the shelf. So, Test of Honor is one of our prolific games. We built our channel on this. We built Indie Wargaming on this. And it's a feudal Japanese samurai war game where you play with a small warband of, it's like skirmish size, anywhere between 5 and I think 24 miniatures. And it's great because you get some beautiful, I've got it behind me, some beautiful, doesn't matter, scenery, feudal Japanese scenery, and you're playing samurai versus samurai. That game's great. It's got nice little cards, reference cards for your characters. And then Guards of Trader's Toll is Grey for Now Games' newest title, which we've covered very recently, and is one of the most unique war games we've ever played because you play as a guard squad, and you can play semi-cooperatively with another player who has another guard squad, and you're essentially arresting citizens and trying to keep the status quo. You don't want things to get out of hand or any discontent to arise throughout the town because then bad things happen. So it's actually not like a true PvP war game. Anyways, which one wins for me? I loved what they did with Guards of Trader's Toll. I thought it was such a unique game. It's quite a long game to play. It could take anywhere between 2 to 3 hours if you're playing even the quick play rules. That's something that we found. There's also a little bit of, it's so unique that you really need to be across the rules, unlike other games where you can kind of be familiar with rules having played similar war games before, like Test of Honor. Test of Honor is so awesome. You get to play as samurai. It's simple to get to the table. You play it a couple times and then you know how to play. You play off a single reference piece of paper after that. And you could pick this game up every 3 months, throw dice, have cool samurai cutting each other up with katanas and spears and naganatas and things. So the winner for me is Test of Honor. That was tough. But no, I'm happy with Test of Honor. I think because I'm more of a beer and pretzels person who plays so many different games, a lot of these games are going to come down to, can I just play it once every 2 months, throw it on the table, but still that it's got enough meat that I feel like I'm not just playing a game that has 1 page of rules. That's not a dig at 1-page rules. I do love 1-page rules. What's next, Churchy?
Next up,
bail me out here.
We have Blade Wrath versus War Surge.
Okay, cool. These are very different games. So Blade Wrath is a small 15 mil, it's scale agnostic, but 15 millimeter Viking. It's like a mass skirmish game. So it's skirmish in nature that you've got like a little raiding party, but maybe it's on the bigger side of skirmish games. I think you need anywhere between 20 and 30 miniatures each side. And what's cool is you use berserkers and I don't know all the Viking names for all of them. I've forgotten. Churchy, do you know a single Viking name? He's shaking his head, but he is a Viking, so he just calls them friends. So that's a cool one we played recently, and it's actually only just a couple weeks ago got successfully kickstarted, so that's awesome. Blade Wrath Vikings versus War Surge, which is a build your own game. You can fight with anything, any force that you have. It's like a list building, points building game. It's got an app and 2 massive rule books, which we have over there on the shelf. And basically, if you took this can, you could make a profile for it in the app. You could say, I want it to have this much health, these special rules, and then maybe your friend wants to play with this pair of scissors. And scissors beats paper and rock, but how does it go against beer can? Well, that's up to you and how you build your lists. So it's very cool. I would say for me, again, more beer and pretzels. War Surge is the kind of game where you could just play War Surge for the entirety of your wargaming. It's a take-all-comers kind of game, which is great, but you have to spend some time building your lists. Your opponent has to do the same thing. Once you've done that, you can play, and you play it a couple times, and we did that on the channel, and we really got into it, and you can really sink your teeth into that and just play that. The downside of those types of games, like Guards of Trader's Toll, is you really do need to be across the rules. It's not a game you can just pick up once every few months and play it. There's a bit of onboarding before you get the models to the table. Whereas Blade Wrath, although it's still quite a, not a complex game, but like a rules deep game, it's got a lot of things that help you along the way, like the little cards that you can get for your warriors, sample lists, and little cheat sheets as well. And once you play it a couple times, you get the flow of it. I feel like even though I've only played it twice, if I were to try and pick it up and play it today, I could remember 80% of the rules. So for me, Vikings fighting each other, which you could technically do in both games, Blade Wrath is the winner for me out of those two. So that's tough though, because you could also just like use your Blade Wrath minis, make the list, but you got to make the list. Yeah, I'm happy with Blade Wrath. I like it. Let's do it. That's the winner out of those two for me. A summer ale, no less. I just wanted to mention too, I forgot to say that War Surge is by Three Brothers Grimm, and both War Surge and Blade Wrath are Australian indie war games, which is really cool. Actually, both games where we've broke bread and drank beers with the creators of it, which is awesome. And War Surge is insane. Like this is the rule book here. And these are some thick, professionally done official books. These are nuts. These are value. We loved these. And this book here actually has like full profiles and stuff in there. This is the compendium and everything that you need to play. So if you're into this style of game, this is more like Warhammer 7th edition, these big tomes with massive profiles. If you love sinking your teeth into that, that's definitely a game I recommend for people. For me personally though, still rolling with Blade Wrath. Oh yeah, what do we got next, Churchy?
Next up, we have Dark Ages of Anun versus Tanks for the Apocalypse.
Ah, this is cool. All right, so Tanks for the Apocalypse is in the Snarl magazine by Snarling Badger Studios, and Dark Ages of Anun is by Electi Studios in their Blaster Mag Volume 8, which isn't even out yet. So that's a very cool game that we got an exclusive opportunity to play. And Tanks for the Apocalypse, these are two very different games. Tanks for the Apocalypse is like a party game where you have one little Sherman tank. This is set in like alternate history. I think it's like Midwest America, sometime in when Sherman tanks were around. I guess World War II didn't happen, and there's an abundance of tanks. I can't quite remember the lore, but you control just one little tank. You custom make it. It's got some bonuses and it's got some things that hinder it. And throughout the course of the game, your little tank fights other people's tanks. I assume you can play with multiple tanks. You can play at 15 mil or 28 mil scale tanks. It's designed. You buy Snarl, you pick a tank, and you can play with your opponent. I had a great time playing it with Shane on this channel, and the biggest takeaway that we had from this game was this would be awesome with more than 2 people. I think this is a game where you play at 4 to 6 to 8 to 10 tanks. You're all having beers, rolling dice. I think that version of Tanks for the Apocalypse is amazing. The winner actually for me is Dark Ages of Anun, because that game it took me on a journey. So it's set in I think Rome. The Roman Empire has fallen, but it's sort of themed with Welsh folklore elements. You're a fractured village just trying to survive. So it's got great campaign play where you're trying to build up your village, fight off these Welsh folklore creatures or whatever you call them, spirits. And it took me down a journey of like learning about Welsh folklore, which was very cool. And I thought the way the game played was really unique, and I loved it. And it was really cool to try and build our lists. That was really simple, but you still had a lot of freedom. So I can't say enough about Dark Ages of Anun. That game blew me away. I read through the rulebook once and I was like, this thing has some meat on it. This is awesome. So winner for me is Dark Ages of Anun. I'd love to play it again. The fact that we could play with spiders that thought they were sheep and we had to try and rescue them, that's amazing. What kind of game does that? So for me, Dark Ages of Anun. I realize we have lots of stuff from the games that we just talked about. So I've just been stacking that up over here. Here's my cute little tank for Tanks for the Apocalypse that Sandry from the Discord made me for our mini swap. Check out our Discord, link in the description. Mini swaps happen every year. What do we got, Churchy?
We have Death Wizards versus Blackout.
Interesting. I just realized we don't have Fjord Serpents in here, of which I have the hat, which I'm pretty sure we have played this year, probably because there's 8 titles and we covered it last year. I will talk about Fjord. True, yeah. I will talk about Fjord Serpents in a second because that's interesting. So Death Wizards versus Blackout. Okay, I know which game straight away. First of all, I love Death Wizards. That is by Snarling Badger Studios as well. It's not in a snarl, it's its own game, and it's awesome. People love this game. I've watched it played. We've played it ourselves. It was really easy to get to the table, and it was a really cool concept where you could make your little. I think I used like Skaven Ratman, and I had like It's all about your wizard. That's the leader, and they push the army around and give them buffs, and you can build up your lair, I think it's called, and just a really cool concept of a game. We enjoyed it when we played it, and we just never picked it back up again. It's not that it wasn't for us. We just thought this is the type of game you could play a campaign on and have a lot of fun with, and we just never went back to it. And I think for me, that speaks to where I'm going to rank that one compared to Blackout, which recency bias, it's one of the most recent indie war games we've played, and this one is by Enemy Spotted Studios, and it is like an ultra modern game where you have like large mechs called dusters, but you also have like little smaller mechanized things, and then ultra modern like soldiers, and it just looks cool. I don't know which game I would compare it to. Yes, I would. It's Infinity Light. That's what people have called it because it has this really cool reaction mechanic that makes you feel like you're always playing the game. Your opponent does something and you get to choose, okay, not if I'm going to react, how am I going to react to that? Or am I going to wait until they do their second action and then react in a different way? Or are they going to shoot me and I'm going to try and dodge? There's all these cool, you just constantly feel like you're playing the game as the defender even, let alone when it's your turn and you have so many different options. I love Blackout. It's actually one of my favorite games I've ever played. So it wins that. Although I understand why there's the campaign element to Death Wizards that I think we didn't even tap into, and that's the big draw card for it. So I'm not giving it a fair shot, but I am ranking Blackout over Death Wizards because I just froth it. I love it. Blackout's sick. Where are my Blackout minis? Yes, sir. So I'm actually going to talk about Fjord Serpents for a sec because this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to do a bit of a cheeky. I love Blade Wrath and Fjord Serpents are both by Hammer of the North Studios. And if I were to choose between those two games, I would choose Fjord Serpents because it's a Viking naval war game where your Viking longships are crashing into each other, you're grappling each other. It's just such a unique title, and it just looks beautiful. It's like Test of Honor. When you walk past the table, you just can't not stop at that table and check out what's going on. So this is what I'm going to do. Because Fjord Serpents would win in every area that Blade Wrath would have won, I'm actually going to swap them out. And I want to see how Fjord Serpents goes against these games, because although it's one of the older indie war games that we've played on this channel, I think we have played it more recently than War Surge. So I'm allowing it. I'm throwing it in there. So Churchy, given that, what 2 games, we're now in the winner's bracket, there's 4 games left, what 2 are we going head to head with now?
The next 2, we have Blackout versus Test of Honor.
You know what? I said to you before, I think there's 2 games where I think could win. This is them. They're going against each other. Blackout is my new love. Test of Honor is a game that we played originally, we loved it, but then we went our own way and we had a lot of fun with other titles, and then we just never really touched Test of Honor and never even thought about it again until we did. And that was one of the most fun I've ever had playing. That's our most recent Test of Honor battle report, where we just came back, tried to relearn the rules, which was easier than we thought, had some beers, it was just an amazing time. And it was one of my favorite gaming experiences ever, let alone battle reports ever. And so I'm thinking of that version of Test of Honor. It was a lot of fun. And again, we haven't even scratched the surface. We mostly play out of the core rules, but there's a whole Sengoku expansion and even more miniatures that come out every day by Great Now Games. So go check those out. Against Blackout, which is, again, one of my favorite games I've ever played. And so I am going to go with Blackout. I think I like the theme of Test of Honor way better. I like the game I played with Shane on our battle report better. But I think holistically, if I want to play a game this weekend and again in 2 months and buy more miniatures right now, it's Blackout. So I'm giving the win to Blackout. That was difficult. That might be the toughest break, the toughest battle. What do we got now, Churchy? Can't remember the games.
Now we have Dark Ages of Anun versus Fjord the Serpents.
Oh, this is also tough. Oh, this is fun. This is awesome. I'm glad I didn't prepare any notes and I just have to think about the games and how much I like them. So, Fjord Serpents, as I mentioned, indie Australian war game. I've had a beer with Luke many times. Listened to him talk about Fjord Serpents at length. I've painted many tiny Vikings. Love it. Dark Ages of Anun. Gosh, also so good. And again, we didn't really touch on the campaign in either of these games, actually. I'm going to go with Fjord Serpents, just because it looks so beautiful on the table. I think I could play, if someone asked me which one of these two games I wanted to play this weekend, I don't know if I could choose, but I know which one I want to paint more stuff of, and that's rare for me. So I think that's why I'm going to go with Fjord Serpents. Tiny Vikings battling each other, plus the idea of having like multiple players. We're all drinking ales out of Viking horns and rolling dice. That's so cool to me. I'm going with Fjord Serpents because if I think about it any longer, my head will blow up. So Fjord Serpents is the winner of that one. Fjord Serpents, and what's left?
Fjord Serpents versus Blackout.
Wow. Okay. Yeah. I'll be honest. I have no idea. Fjord Serpents versus Blackout, and somehow I eliminated Test of Honor already. Because it went against Blackout, that makes sense. Okay, I have made my decision just then. You didn't see it, but my brain was doing things. And in that moment, I decided upon Blackout. And I picked Blackout because I have no idea why. I have no idea why. You know what? I love Infinity. I love the Clash. I think it's easier to introduce people to Blackout than it is Fjord Serpents because there's a little bit, it's such a unique game. You can't just be like, all right, so we've got the movement phase and we've got the shooting phase and you can roll your defensive dice. Fjord Serpents has this really cool mechanic where you roll a dice and say it's a 1. That's the target number for this turn. So we're actually trying to roll 1s and that's called a major success. And then one number either side of that. So in this case, a 2 or a 6 is a minor success, and that's a tricky thing to explain to people. Some people get it, some people don't. And so I'm just thinking if I'm trying to play this game with other people, because I'm trying to think of every facet of this game, because each game against each other, they're both, to me, incredible titles that I couldn't really pick between. So I'm trying to introduce other elements to tie break it, essentially. And I think Blackout wins based on its cool soldiers that people could feel more immersed in, where they're like, that could be me wearing that cool super sci-fi kit, fighting with these big mechs. It's brutal, it plays quick. You can play that game in like 50 minutes, which for me is awesome. I want to play, if I sit down with my mates and I'm drinking beers and having a chat, then I could play 2 or 3 games of Blackout in a single night. It would take me that long to teach them Fjord Serpents and then play through a game once. So I think just for that reason alone, Blackout is the winner for me. And so somehow, through all the chaos and carnage of these great games, Blackout is my choice for 2025 Indie Wargame of the Year. And I'm happy with that choice. But I also think any of these games could be someone's 2025 Indie Wargame of the Year. I think they all have such different elements that we talked about through this that could be the reason some people might not like how simple Test of Honor is, for example. Whereas for me, it's one of the greatest games on this list. Some people might love how thick and gritty you can get with War Surge. So each of these games has something for everyone, and they could be someone else's number one. But for me, today. It's it's Blackout. So thank you. Let us know what your favorite indie war game of the year is, but also which one on my list do you like the best? What did you think of my choices when they went head to head? Join our Discord because we actually have channels for almost every single one of these games that we mentioned. There's a channel for, and if there's not, we can chirp about them in War Games General. And if you liked the look of any of them, you can go check out our battle reports. Anyways, until next time, keep being, and always, and don't forget that every Sunday there's a new podcast episode. We do podcasts as a second channel, but it's up to you. You don't have to. How did Test of Honor not win? It's a cool hat. Churchy.